go. Thank you, Mr. B. This is vk3sl and welcome to the afternoon session, this wormhole where we offer another parallel experience to that outside the afternoon session, where we use modulated sound as a means to invigorate, to inspire. I don't know. It certainly keeps me going. And that's the way of things here, afternoon missions on the weekdays, especially during this time. And just a quick word that we are testing on 160 and also on UHF. That's 438.725. And tonight we'll be casting off at 11:30 and doing our late night session as well. Oh, I should mention there's a streaming service if you're unacquainted. That can be found on a dedicated YouTube page to these missions. Just look up my call sign, vk3sl. And all will be revealed. All right, well, we'll finish Mr. B and we'll line up something else. There's a time-honoured tradition here of playing Muzak from the 1920s. So today we'll listen to the Savoy Orpheans, a recording going back to, I think, 1925, late 1925. I think it's an early early electric, I'm not sure. Anyhow, let's have a listen to Charleston Baby. Savoy Orpheans from the Savoy Hotel in London, and it was recorded in 1925, October, early electric, and we heard an amazing two-piano solo with Mr. Gibbons, Carol Gibbons and Billy Thorburn on that recording. So nice sax work as well. Was that Herb Finney or Watson Marsh? I don't know. Behind Raymond Newton's vocal. I can give you a bit of info because I've been able to dial that record up. It's a great Charleston offering to kickstart the program today. VK3SL, test missions.
The Charleston.
Ah, that Charleston. Yes. It's a I don't like in my chances of ever being able to do the cross-lateral gestures for the Charleston.
Yeah, it's a bit of leg crossing, eh?
There is leg crossing and arm crossing, and it's all betwixting, the whole thing.
Makes me very cross, I should think.
Yeah, but the girls look wonderful when they do it. Yes.
Oh, yes.
So there we go. Charleston Mad, that's what we are here, Frank. Charleston Mad. And,
vk3sl, this is vk3sl on 2 metres.
yeah, coming through nice and clear. Very good. And another station there?
Yes, that's me here.
Oh, yes. And, yeah, a very good program last night.
Oh, yes, pity UHF popped. It just
Yeah.
turned out to be the power supply connection.
Oh, was it really?
So I'm redoing all those, and I should be able to maybe have a bit more power too.
Okay.
Because I could only ever use low power. It used to die.
Yes.
And I didn't know what I thought. Anyway, it's just... so I think that should be okay.
Yes.
And so if I have to fill in again, I can at least have, maybe 30 watts or something instead of 5, which
Yes.
would make a big difference, I think.
Sure. No, I think so.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Oh, well, at least it wasn't
That
too...
sounded very good.
It wasn't too catastrophic. Oh, it's so good to hear a decent, politically incorrect announcer.
Well, now, that's on my website.
Yes.
So you can always listen to them again.
Yes.
Those programs, then, I think late 70s, 78 or something, I recorded them from Broadcast House.
Right.
I recorded a whole series on it's good quality coming down the line, but unfortunately I recorded 1 7/8 on a Tandberg.
Ah.
But they're pretty good. The Tandbergs are pretty hi-fi at 1 7/8.
Okay.
But I use crap tapes as dropouts. But
Yeah.
the interesting thing last night, when I was playing it, there was 9 kc whistle you wouldn't believe just blasting through. I looked on the SDR,
Yes.
and either side you had 2 carriers stronger than the actual main carrier.
Right.
I thought I'll just leave them on there. It looks hilarious.
Yes.
And I remember that listening to it from 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And as they faded out, I had to go to listen on regionals, then listen to VLI from Sydney
Yeah.
to try and keep the whole program going.
Okay.
Which was quite. I actually remember doing that. So
Yeah, very good. Oh, it's a good memory. Fabulous material.
Oh, look, that's when you used to listen to radio because it was interesting.
Yes,
People had things to say.
they did have things to say, and he's just got this delightful, whimsical way of rocking the boat. It's just brilliant. His drive wit is legendary, really.
Oh, yeah. And look, it's basically him talking. The Muzak was just something he can comment about and make smart remarks about to fill in the time, and it is brilliant.
Yeah. Often smartasses don't work that well on the radio, but he does. It seems to it carries so well.
That's right. Don't know if you heard the bit I was commenting about, because when I was doing, I think if Cumes was around at my place.
Right.
And anyway, been all up all night doing stuff.
Yes.
And we thought we'd record Robinson.
Mm.
So I rang him up.
Yeah.
Because I had the number of the studio, and I said, look, you're recording him.
Yep.
And then he came on and disparaging talk about,
about ground waves and things.
About how bad Victoria was and stuff.
Yes.
And then he said, and Dave down there's recording it. Got mechanical copyright. It went all these things, how it could be, how it was illegal. and all this sort of thing. And he carried on like it, and I thought, well, this is exactly why you ring him up to get a comment like that.
Yes, you certainly do. He'll give you the full serve. But he was referring to Tony. Who's Tony? Who was Tony?
Tony is one of the, I think...
was he in the booth or something?
Was that one of the newsreaders?
It might have been one of the newsreaders or
Tony,
someone... yeah.
Connolly? No.
I don't know.
There's a couple of hams worked at 2BL.
Yeah. Sure.
And they used to always come on and talk about technical stuff.
Ah, because he made some ham-related comments as well about ground planes.
That's
yes.
right.
Yes, certainly.
Yes, that's good. But I've noticed there's quite a bit of 2BL and Robbo up online. There's another fellow's put up hours of him. So,
oh, really?
So it would be worth investigating that, and I wouldn't mind relaying some of it. I'll sample it and see what the quals are like. But,
He certainly is a one-off, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, incredible.
He certainly was.
Don't make them like that anymore.
No, that's it. So, what a wordsmith.
One, of course, we had Evans in Melbourne, who was a similar sort of thing. And I have told this story before, but maybe it's new for the new listeners.
Yeah.
one day Evans reported in sick or something, and it was 5 o'clock. What do you do? We just put Robbo online, and I think the studio supervisor rang up and said, look, just tell Robbo he's being relayed in Victoria, and make realise that any comments he makes. And he goes, ooh, and he was taking off Evans.
Oh, really?
And sending Evans up like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, fantastic.
And all Evans' mannerisms. And all sort of stuff.
All you sort of lazy just...
the teleprinter, and scribbling on a bit of paper like you used to go, pat, 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 and all this stuff.
Yes,
It was absolutely hilarious.
How about that? That would be fantastic. You didn't capture that by any chance, did you? Did somebody?
No, I don't think anyone recorded it.
No one had a bio running?
Well, look, it could very well be recorded.
It may be out there.
Of course, I'm glad it's online.
Yes.
I've got a lot of your stuff on TV. He was very good on that too. On his news program, he used the news items just as a tool to rave on.
Yes, that's right.
And I've put some up. I might just dump the whole lot on.
I think you should.
Without editing.
Yep, just put it all out there because I think people will enjoy it and will relate to it because it certainly brought back memories of listening to Robbo.
He used to have a big interest in shortwave radio, didn't he?
Oh, he was a ham.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, I forget his call. So I know he was a ham, and he was often talking about ham stuff and about his shack. And all this sort of stuff, And Connolly, there's a couple of announcers in there, 2BL and ABC in Sydney were hams.
Right. Very good.
We had our Melbourne crew, didn't we? Apart from you.
Oh, there were a lot of hams. Sunday morning, the WA broadcast was echoing down the hallway of broadcast house.
Really? Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. The studio supervisor, Ron White, he was a ham.
Oh, really? So they played the WA?
Well, half the engineering staff were hams.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Half the operators were.
Oh, very good.
And probably, 20-30% of the announcers were as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was,
a bit of a ham city. Yeah. Okay, well, that's very revealing. Oh, it would have been great to be a fly on the wall here, that all transpiring.
Sure would.
Yeah, they're great stories, great industry stories. That's what we like to hear.
You'll have to write a little book about it.
You will. You have to, get that all down. But I'll go back and have a look. I went and had a look at your... you got a video up and you put the sort of longer version of that Sydney video up. And that's great with these taking the with his embarrassing what's her name Caroline Jones.
Yeah, look, he was brilliant, and he was just sort of that couldn't care less, just
cavalier
on another planet, just talking, not taking any notice of what people might think.
No,
that's a fantastic doco. That
it certainly is.
It's amazing,
and he's completely comfortable in his shoes. He's one of these people who's about 3 miles ahead of himself when he speaks. Yeah, I mean,
that's right.
I'm struggling to get 1 millimetre ahead of myself, and you hear someone like him, and he's miles ahead. So he's just able to just let stuff just percolate. It's fantastic.
And on that doco, he's talking to Caroline Jones, who's sitting there with headphones on, and as if not taking it, they just talk. His answer is just incredible.
Yeah.
He's just, as I say, he's way ahead.
Yeah.
The stratosphere of his comprehension of stuff.
I think he is. People like that, you must be very lonely, because I reckon if you were to be that bright, it would be a pretty. Everything would be very urbane and very. I think it'd be a pretty depressing world.
I don't think he was very well liked.
Yeah, I can imagine him being an almost impossible person to live with.
He didn't really worry about hurting anyone's feelings, did he?
Not at all.
No, he was very cavalier. And he probably didn't have that many clothes. I don't know. Who knows? He might be listening.
Well, look, I did send him tapes and stuff.
Yeah.
And look, I'd not be surprised if he's looked at my stuff.
I'm sure he has.
And look, what personality doesn't think, I'll just type in my thing, see if anyone's got stuff. Particularly if that's a long time ago and they're past their prime. They just want to see, are they still there in people's memories?
Yeah, that's it. See what their stamp is, their footprint. But I can imagine. No, I'm sure he would. But I think he was driving steam trains and things last. I think he got sort of into all manner of hobbies.
Yeah, I'd recorded sound effects of Flinders Street Station and trains and things.
Ah.
So I sent up a tape of all that. I thought he might be interested.
Yeah.
at the end of the tape before it finished, I had various crossbands and stuff that I thought he might be interested in as well.
He might just sort of stumble upon it.
That's right, just the end of the tape.
Just incidentally.
Yes. So
Good one. I think that's a great idea.
because all before social media. And
Yeah,
stuff.
of
So
course.
How do you contact people? And
Exactly. How do you? No, that's great. Yeah, I can well imagine. Yeah, he was a force to be reckoned with. I really enjoyed his classical. He really breathed a whole new life into that morning program for ABC FM as well.
Stuff, yeah, he was really good.
He was wonderful, and he just, he sort of liked the music, but he didn't take it too seriously, and that was the best thing, all these
we need
stuffy
people like
announcers.
that.
Yeah, look, there's these stuffy announcers who just, it's the highest echelon, and you have to have a certain intellect to listen to it and all that. And he just had this beautifully cavalier way of just interacting with things, just breezing through the breeze.
Well, that's right. Well, those sort of personalities, that's what made me get interested in radio.
Yeah.
Because, the sort of presentation now, you've got a couple of people laughing at their own jokes, just talking crap. There's just wall-to-wall politics and shit.
Yeah.
And you don't need that.
No.
It's 24 hours a day.
No.
Look at that 2BL, but from 5 o'clock till 9, it was that type of just easygoing, whatever program.
Yeah.
Now you've got politics shoved down your face.
Oh, yeah. It's all out there.
Continuously.
It's continuous.
Could not agree more.
That's absolutely the case. It's all served. It's pushed. And, you want something just whimsical and a strong personality with I like with a slightly obscure or obtuse worldview. I think it makes all the difference.
And also, like, now you have music like back-to-back, you might as well have like an MP3 player.
Yeah.
But you need someone like that to break up the music occasionally, a bit like you would do, I suppose.
Yeah.
Say something interesting about the music or anything else.
Yeah.
Just to, it's not an MP3 player, it's actually somebody presenting a program, and it's likeable. And there's maybe there's stuff on community radio, I don't know, but there's a few things on CR that are interesting, but
Yes.
I don't know, maybe on FM there must be stations like that, but I haven't come across them of late.
No, there's probably programs out there.
There's a bit on community radio if you like particular kinds of music.
Yes, niche-driven, isn't
There's
it? Very
jazz
much.
programs and there's country programs and that sort of stuff.
I haven't listened to What the Folk yet.
You don't miss What the Folk.
It's the
Thursday mornings, 9 a.m.
It's the best title for a program. I haven't listened to it yet. But
What's that on?
it's PBS, isn't it?
Yeah, PBS 9 a.m. Thursdays. It's a folk music program, and she calls it What the Folk.
Oh, brilliant. I love it. I missed Burning Vinyl today. I got busy and I missed
It'll
it.
be online for a
Yeah,
week.
it'll be out there, but it's sort of nice hearing things live. But, Burning Vinyl's another one. That's one I have, whenever I won't get the chance, I do like listening to that guy. And he's a bit sort of nerdy, but he's sort of into it, He's just one of these closet nerds who likes Australian progressive rock music and is just a walking encyclopedia. He knows everything about it.
Yeah, I must listen myself.
Yeah, it's good.
3CR has a good rock program if you want old-time rock and roll Saturday nights.
Oh, okay. Oh, very good.
And followed by a blues program called Blues with a Feeling.
Oh, yeah.
They're good programs.
Okay, fair enough. And, of course, Sunday night you've got Nostalgia Unlimited.
Sure have.
Yeah, so it's all there on 3CR, on the red tenors. But, I do enjoy that Friday when I get a chance to listen into to Burning Vinyl. Yeah.
It's the first time I heard it. We're coming back from Barry's place,
Oh, yes.
and when we got the few stuff. From
Oh,
there,
yes, that's right. Yes, that's it. Yeah.
And I tuned into the red tenors, and the Burning Vinyl was on. I thought, what a fantastic programmer.
Yeah.
Programming.
Yeah. I didn't know about it before then, so that's got me going with it as well. I'd been hearing it. And,
What time is it on?
Oh, it's 2 to 4, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 to 4 Fridays.
On a Friday, okay.
I was all geared up to listen to it today, but then I got distracted and I couldn't. But anyhow, it's there, and it's all online, of course. Everything is archived there.
Yeah, sure.
All kept and streamed and time shifted. But I've got some more Evans material I'm going to have to dig up. I should give it to you, Dave, so you can put it up with all your other Evans stuff.
Oh, good, yeah.
Yeah, there was I think an hour of him somewhere. It's one of those tapes from the collection at the Aristock Road shop where we went that time.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of Evans from the early 70s.
Yeah, look, I'm sure a lot of people must have recorded Evans and the Robbo and those sort of shows.
Yeah.
Because they were special.
Mm.
And it was something to get up and listen to.
That's
and,
it.
Something new.
Yeah, and you always knew it was going to be a bit subversive and a bit sort of acrid and take the piss and not politically correct. And you need a bit of spice, I think. Otherwise, everything is so boring.
And he was always sending off the staff at the ABC, and you wouldn't get away with it now. And it was all Mr. or whatever his operator was. Anyway, he didn't have a very good word for him on the.
Yeah.
What do you refer to him? And in that doco, there's a photo. There's footage of him.
Yeah.
He does look like just a complete nerd, like an engineering nerd with no personality, turning a few knobs. Like
Yes.
He's probably totally oblivious to what Robbo was saying.
He probably is. He probably has no idea.
He's probably listening to another program or something.
Yes, he probably is. Exactly. No, that's quite funny. Yeah. Now, speaking of non-PC, there's a brilliant new upload on the National Film and Sound Archive site, a screen sound thing, and there is a film about schools in the early 1970s, and it's got this very young, very attractive, progressive teacher, and she's working with young kids, and she sort of profiles her approach towards education compared to the old school, which is shown in black and white. And of course, the old school is how it was for me and for a lot of people, probably all people listening to this. But it's just brilliant. It's just fantastic, capture from about 1971, but it's certainly worth a look. And I'll put it up on. I'll send you a link, Frank. It stands alone. It stands up very, very nicely as an audio. It's fine.
Love to hear it.
It's really worth listening to.
And that's the NFSA.
Yeah, it's the latest one. They just put it up a couple of days ago.
I was meant to tell you, there's a few other ones recent that are really good.
Okay.
I forget what they were, but
yeah, sure. Oh,
a
well.
couple of really great ones.
Yep.
The Lighthouse one, of course, but I'll have a look at this next one.
Yeah.
And I really liked their presentations.
They're very good. No, they pick good subjects and sort of socially challenging or progressive or whatever, and they sort of have a story. And I do like the style of documentary making when they give the person the in this case, this woman does all the talking. There's no other talking head telling you what's going on or trying to overload you with facts. It's very much that new school where this teacher just talks, and it's just got a comment every.
Exactly, it's not a personality-driven thing.
No, that's right.
We've got someone doing stand-ups and telling you exactly what is obvious.
Yeah, no, it's definitely moved on from that, and which is sort of rare for that time. And it's just a comment every 30 seconds. You must make a comment.
And those art ones just have boring John Sangster music in the background and nice shots of Sydney Harbour.
Yeah.
And they just think, God, did people watch this?
Yes, that's right. Some of those. Yeah. So, look, there's quite a lot of good material, and it's all on HD, and it's nicely presented, so worth a look. But the Miss Kurbachev, I think her name is, and she would have been, I think a lot of parents would have been very happy to pick their kids up from school, from her classroom.
Right, yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, very, very interesting.
We had a teacher at school, and he was he would have been a Prime Minister, I suppose, and he said, look, everyone's going to get C, because, I don't like, why should someone get a low rate, it's all the same mark here. And we used to talk about, basically, we never learned anything in the class. It was all just Marxist theory.
Yeah, oh, right.
He'd go on and on about it, and we thought, that's all very interesting.
Yep.
And I'd come home and I'd say to the parents, Mr. So-and-so said this, and did he really? Yeah. And so, anyway, it sort of, he didn't get told off or anything about it. And we all got C. That was great. Didn't have to do any work.
Okay, all right. So you just sort of standardised everyone and didn't.
Yeah.
Oh well, there
right.
you go.
So,
well, you could do other things. Yeah. Well, these days you could just get your phone out, I suppose, but probably not back then. But so he was trying to indoctrinate everyone.
That's right. Yeah. Well, this is a good world, when you go to, you don't graduate and you just get ripped off when you go to work, just to be a bum and all this. All these good educational ideas he had.
Oh, it sounds like
a lot like the ferry.
Oh, yes.
The ferry would have been an interesting teacher.
He would have been good.
Certainly would have.
Yeah, I think Drew said that he used to just always take the kids out of the classroom, getting them doing authentic sort of tasks and stuff, and I can imagine he would have been like that, which is back then would have been a fairly unconventional, I suppose. I think he made rockets and stuff like that, Drew
right,
said.
yeah.
He blew things
That
up.
is really good stuff.
So he would have been good in that way, and he would have done some big rants, I imagine.
He was a very sincere sort of a guy, really.
Yeah, he had a interesting...
I mean, he sort of always told it the way he saw it, really. Didn't hesitate, didn't worry much about, who he offended or anything like that.
He certainly had his will.
I really liked him.
Yeah, I sort of got hooked on those fairy files because I thought he just had a very unusual worldview, and as you say, he was sort of very... He developed a very strong personal mythology and stuck to his line. So, yeah.
No, it's amazing his philosophy of just a bit of work, then just travel around till your money's gone and just do that. And, amazing. Of course, he did have a big court case with the Marconi company.
Yeah, well, it killed him in the end.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing. I think he dropped dead just before the final outcome of it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's all very sad. In fact, Mr. Newbeck, who might be listening, did some research.
Yeah, I know. He's done a whole thing on him, I think.
Yeah, he did a whole lot of research and found that he died just before the...
Is that on the web, or has he published it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's published it, but he did send me links to a whole lot of court files and documenting the case. And it was a pretty nasty case. It was really full on. And Mr. Ferry would have been a very unrelenting sort of character.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he just tried to push it to the nth degree, and it killed him. He just destroyed him. So, he died of a heart attack just before the final
you've got to know
verdict.
when to give up.
Oh, I think so. Well, you've got to understand what the thresholds are and how it impinges on anything else. But I think he's the sort of person who had that fight to the end sort of mentality.
He had principles that he would die for. He was that sort of...
Yeah.
In one way, you got the impression that he didn't care about too much, but then he had a lot of underlying principles that he kind of lived by, I think.
Yeah, and also very inflexible.
Very inflexible.
Which that was the problem. That's what Dave had to encounter. I mean, he's the sort of person who is just not a very adaptable.
Oh no! Look, I wouldn't be sort of wanting to become a friend.
No.
He would never become a friend.
No, he could never really personally get close to somebody like that.
I think he lacked a lot in sort of personal, personal traits. But he's an interesting guy, I thought.
Yeah, just a very unusual personality and very strong personality, and just had this.
And the stories. It was just amazing to listen to. When he used to come on.
Yeah.
About all that stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He would get. He'd just start to carry on, and he'd get taken away by the story.
Mm.
And so
yes, that's right. It's sort of self-fulfilling. It was like a positive feedback loop. He'd be
with all the travel that he'd done, he had so many stories.
Mm.
And he had this philosophy on English, the English way people live in their little flats and watch. Steptoe and Son, and
that's
they
right.
live their lives out and all that.
Yeah, well, a lot of it's sort of true about the urban monotony and about the sort of, how people just fall into that suburban trap and lose their creative zeal and all of that stuff. I mean, he was very articulate about that.
And he was telling us, we were just young kids, you'll have to front all this. Do you want your life to just be like this or do something a bit different? And we're sitting there at 25 or something. And now, of course, his when he was talking, he's younger than we are now.
Yes, that's right. I mean, he was dead by the age of 40-something. That's the irony of it all. I know. It's crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah. But this film, this schoolteacher film, she does all this authentic stuff with the kids, which you could just never do. She takes the kids on her own down to the Point Lonsdale Lighthouse, and they all go climbing through caves, and she advocates all these little kids climbing through tight caves and all these activities that you can't do anything like that now. It's all so, one of my kids had to go on a bushwalk, and all the kids were forced to wear helmets.
That's rubbish.
Isn't it just crazy stuff?
Look, it's the old world. Like, listening to that Robbo and that video clip you sent me, it is listening on the old transistor radio, cooking bad food.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do that. That was... And like that's what was it, 82 or something.
Yeah.
The world has changed so much, particularly in the last few years. It is basically unrecognisable to people, certainly to me and probably to Frank. You're a bit younger, but it's almost... you try and keep up, but now it's no point anymore.
Yeah, that's it. Was a different...
Just give up and just be out of... out of the loop, which I basically am.
Yeah, well, that's what can happen.
Got a lot going for it.
Yeah, well, I suppose it forces people to find their own way, and there are other ways to make people acquiesce now. Well, it's really bad, but yeah, back then there's certainly in other ways, education. In other ways, we had the big speaker in the classroom telling everyone what to do, and that was a metaphor for just listen to advertising from that era.
I know.
It's. I mean, it really is Big Brother and a different guy. So I suppose things just sort
Very
of
much.
they just morph into different ways of. And now we all think we're mobilised with our social media, but I think there's a lot of control over that too.
I think that's the biggest thing since the Industrial Revolution, really. It's totally changed the way people do stuff.
Yep.
And people don't realise how it has taken over their lives.
Yeah, that's it. But the amount of control over, I mean, just now the fact that Apple now can scan everyone's photo archives.
Why would you even take a photo on a phone now?
Yeah.
Because Apple can look at it.
Yeah, they can. They can scan all your pickies.
Yep.
Yep, it's all out there in the cloud and it's all there for public consumption. So, yeah, but see, people have been conditioned to that now, and we've got generations who have been, and they're quite happy to TikTok their lives away. So, there are different values, I suppose, which and in many ways we've sort of acquiesced to, sold off because we've got these sort of convenience devices, internet, any information at our fingertips, but the trade-off, of course, is that there's no personal privacy at all. Every search
There's not.
you
And what
ever
I
made.
found is the younger generation don't care.
No, that's right. They're acclimatised to it.
They don't care that
In fact,
someone
they're
can look at
quite
all
happy
their
with it.
stuff.
Yeah,
Or if they go to a concert, they have to get their bags checked and basically be strip searched.
yeah,
And can't even take in bottles of water.
yeah.
And I say, I would not pay money to go somewhere when I'm treated like a concentration camp.
Yeah, well, it's a
But they
different.
don't care.
Yeah, it's a different way.
Well, it's all they've ever known, with some of them.
Yeah, well, I think it is. That's just the way it is. It's been like that for generations, over a generation now, and people just come to expect it. So it's normalised. And but you're right. It's something that's just completely foreign to anyone with sort of independent thinking. Yeah, look, it's these are interesting perspectives.
It's like the old media, like movies and stuff, people see them and they look at the old days. What do they think about them? Do they, or don't the young people look at, say, an old film now and see that's the way people react? They weren't walking around with a phone and they're stuck in their ear all the time.
Yeah.
And, it's...
Look, it's just different.
It's perplexing, I think.
It's perplexing for us because we come from a certain place, but for other people, they feel emancipated. It's a wavelength thing.
Yep.
People have different wavelengths, different worldviews. We're sort of moving to a different, I don't know, types of society, and that's the way it's probably always been. But technology has sort of availed things to such a point that all of the reference points have all changed. But, it's always like that years ago too with Big Brother, but just in a different way now.
Yeah, look, I guess it is. And I think, when you're 20 or 30, you don't realise when you're 60 or 70, you've got to look back on all that stuff.
Mm.
And, as I said before, my parents were born around 1909.
Yeah.
And they lived in horses and carts.
Mm.
And then it was aeroplanes and colour TV and whatever. I mean, a bigger change than we've had now.
Oh, look, that's right. It's
and they had to
staggering.
adapt.
Yep.
And, so I guess it's the same sort of thing.
It's the same thing.
Fuddy-duddy, but, I do try and keep in contact with stuff, and as you do, and contact with young people.
Yep.
And we can see both sides. I think that's the thing, but they can't.
Yeah. That's right. That's exactly it. But I mean,
You see, they haven't experienced what we did.
Yeah. So that's all irrelevant. So for a lot of young people, they've just got no interest really. It just makes no sense. It's just sort of some old value system from another time, and they're very happy being in their own zone, and I completely get that. I understand it. It's when I'm working with young people, there's no way I want to impose any of my, antiquated values. I'm quite happy to see them in that zone, but it does perplex me sometimes. I sort of think, wow, it's a very different notion of freedom to what so I suppose it boils down to just perception and,
I think the generation gap might be bigger now because, say, when I was a kid, my parents' friends were like my friends as well.
Right.
and I'd talk to them, and you know, you felt
Yeah.
they were sort of part of your group. But now kids don't seem to want to associate with older people.
Not as much. I think
Yeah,
we've...
like anyone over 20 is just too old. But now when they start to get near 30, I think they must have start to reappraise it because they're not. The gap's closing.
Yes, I think you're right. The gap is closing, and I think that's going to be an interesting one to observe, because I suppose the social opportunities are just so manifest now that people will naturally go with what's available to them, and social networks are just massive. They're just like thousands of people. It's staggering.
I know. Like you might have 5 people listening to this, maybe.
Yeah.
If you're on some social media, you'd have 5,000.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, different sort of zones, I suppose, but all very interesting. Yeah, but anyhow, it's good to hear Robbo on the airwaves again, and I think he's well and truly retired, and he's probably enjoying his home railway or something back up.
I wonder what he's doing now.
I wonder. Yeah, he's not that old. He's only, how old will he be? About
He was
70.
33 in that doco.
Yeah.
And that was 1979.
Yeah, I think he was born about 1945 or something. So, yeah.
I remember when I saw that doc, I thought, 33, what an old God. His life's almost ended.
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember at Broadcast House, all the old announcers and things would go into the tea room.
Yeah.
And Bill Ackfield, I'm going to be 50 next week.
Oh.
Aren't you in a box yet?
Yes.
And someone said, oh, yeah, well, I'm 57. Oh, God.
Yeah. Yes.
How's he still working?
Countdown to retirement.
That's right. And,
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine. Yep, those sort of conversations, I hear them all the time. But, yeah, that's the way. Well, we haven't had any music yet.
better go back to the music.
we better
We've ruined your
I've lost my rhythm.
run, your rhythm.
Yeah, I've lost
So
my
that's
rhythm.
the trouble. I waited till Frank came in to ruin your rhythm. And then he's the one to blame, you see.
Ah, yes, that's right. Yes, we'll have to blame you, Frank.
I always let you put the first number on.
Yeah, I've got to get something out of my system. Actually, I tell you what, talk about creative stuff. Kate today she's been practicing all day, and she made a recording. So I'm going to play a recording of her playing the flute. And
terrific! I love it.
And I'll play it again tonight. But I'm keen to hear. She wants some goals, performance goals, and I said, well, why don't you just whack together a piece each week, and I'll throw it on the program. And it's just something. I mean, we're all trying to make sense of the extra time we've got, and trying to find ways to disconnect from all of the negative press and stuff. So I mean, I've been practicing when I can, and Kate's doing the same, and she's really got into her playing, and Hen's doing it. So look, I just feel that since there's a few live opportunities here, so we recorded it in here, but it was very live, and you need a proper booth, and especially with a piercing, high pitched instrument. But anyhow, I've done a little bit with the EQ, and then I put a tiny bit of reverb on, so hopefully that'll give it an extra bit of agency. So
Record it in the park.
yeah, that'd be the thing to do, is record it outside, and then go from there. But look, anyhow, we'll have a listen to this. A little bit of music from C.P. Bach, and little piece that Kate has put together. So let's have a listen. vk3sl testing. music of C.P. Bach. That was a solo sonata, or a movement from a solo sonata in A minor. And we just recorded that today, just a bit of an experiment, and hopefully we'll find an opportunity to do more of that sort of thing. I think it's a good thing to do. Have a bit of a play.
Yeah, I'd love to hear
Yeah.
lots of it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and very expansive, and the fast movement's great too, and we'll see if she can do that next time. So anyhow, but I've got to try and find good ways to record instruments in this place, and with something...
Is there much music for solo flute?
yeah, there is. Telemann wrote a lot of music for solo flute. Yeah, he did, and there's some fantastic solo sonatas. So, I don't think Bach wrote any. He wrote several flute sonatas, transverse flute sonatas, but they're all written with continuo parts. But that's from his son.
He wrote solo, of course, for the violin and cello.
He did. Famous pieces. But that little bit of reverb just sort of awakens it a little bit.
It's nice. It's
yeah,
nice.
it makes a difference.
Puts a little bloom on it.
Yeah, it does. Just makes it sound a little less flat. And I'd have to EQ it right down because it's very, very piercing. But that's just what happens in a small room when you're trying to do this sort of thing. But no, beautiful piece of music. So anyhow, we're testing here, of course. That's the name of the game, and we're playing. I don't know. Well, I don't know what we're doing really. We haven't even thought about the next thing. But what I can do is fire up the Bayer. Now, I did have a sample of some more of that David Rose and his orchestra, Frank. And there's some fantastic tracks on this record, and I reckon we'll have to sample some more of this. So I'll just edge over to the potting wheel here, and we've got the Bayer engaged. So yeah, this is one that stood out. I just thought this. I mean, these are very dry acoustics. They could definitely do with a little bit of bloom, but it's last night we heard the other night we heard Dance of the Pyramids. And this one is a South Pacific medley, but great arrangements, full-blooded orchestra recording, and of a World Program Service transcription disc. So, see what you think. vk3sl and vk3jr. The sound of a concert orchestra. Yeah, David Rose. And it reminds me, I did a few seasons with the Victorian Concert Orchestra years ago in early 90s, and we used to do regional tours, and we'd go around with a number of artists and sort of set up in bandstands and sort of places like that. And we played some of these great big thick orchestral arrangements just like that. And they're so much fun to play. You can really get your teeth into it and you can ham them up and sort of overplay a bit. But yeah, all good. So that's another one of these world discs. Anyhow, well, we're just testing, of course. That's the name of the game, and playing obscure recorded excerpts to air in the form of tone tests. So, Frank, what are we going to talk about tonight?
What do you think?
Oh, gosh, we'll have to find a theme. I really haven't even thought about it tonight, but maybe we should just throw it open and just see what happens, see where the tide takes us.
Right.
Yeah, if you've got a couple of tracks that just come to mind, and we can perhaps use them as launch points or Gogic points or references, and see if you've got a couple of fave jazz tracks.
I was thinking we might play a couple of country tracks.
Oh, some country tracks. Okay.
Just to show that you can have good country.
Okay, well that would be good for me because I struggle with country music. I do like the goodies country.
Now you're talking.
Yes. So, well, Frank, I'll leave it to you because I'm no authority on the subject. But no square dance records, please.
I'll spare you the square dance.
Yeah.
Alaman left. I used to dance square dance.
Yeah, I always got the girl with the sweaty hands.
The history of country music is quite interesting. It goes back quite a way.
Folk traditions, I think, too.
It's quite complex, actually. It's worth looking into.
Oh, yeah, look, I acknowledge that. I certainly acknowledge that, of course. A lot of this is tongue-in-cheek.
The Carter family and all that going way back.
Yeah, no, look, it'd be good. We could aim to flesh the subject out. I'm all open ears. So if you've got a few country faves, and
There's another idea for a program that I've had, which is to do with picking out music that represents particular events or times.
Oh yeah.
In history, like there's a song relating to the Depression.
Okay, sure.
There's a really, really good song called Brother, Can You Spare a Dime?
Oh, that's a beautiful song. Yeah, I think there's a recording of Harlan Lattimore singing that, and Bing Crosby sang it. Yes, a beautiful song. I might have a listen. I'll see if I can find a recording of that. And of course, a lot of Depression-era songs. Hallelujah, I'm a Bum.
Yeah, that's right. That's a beauty.
I've got an original 78 of that here somewhere, and it's funny seeing that sort of written out in gold type on the record label.
Yeah, well, I've got a few of those. Perhaps we could do that for tonight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. In fact, in the pile right here, I've got Crying for the Carolines.
Oh, terrific. Which
is a Depression-era record. I think it's in this pile. I'm sifting through. And is it here? Here we go. Yes, Crying for the Carolines, the Kiklo Club Eskimos. Shall we have a listen?
Why not?
Shall we whet people's appetite? And we could have a few Depression-era songs and a bit of country. But I'll leave that with you, the country stuff, because it hasn't been a zone I've inhabited much. I do have.
Gently,
That's all right. Look, I have got a few country faves. Between us and the lamppost, what's her name? Olivia Nuclear Bomb. She did a few.
Yeah, that's right.
She did a few good country hits.
Yes, she did.
And my kids got into a country group at one point, and they were singing lots of country songs. And secretly, I did listen to them, but that's not something I admit in polite company. Now here we go. Kliko Club Eskimos and Crying for the Carolines, a Depressions era song. It's a good record, and it cuts back to that terrible time in 1929. Let's have a listen.
Where is the song I had in my heart that harmonized with the pine? Anyone can see what's troubling me, I'm crying for the Caroline. Where is the brook that kisses the lane, covered with glory vine? Anyone can see what's troubling me, I'm crying for the Caroline. How can I smile mile after mile, there's not a bit of green here. Birdies all stay far, far away, they're seldom ever seen here. Where is the gal that I used to meet down where the pale moon shines? Anyone can see what's troubling me, I'm crying for the Caroline.
Yes, that lyric about harmonising with the times is quite significant on that record.
Yeah, it certainly is.
And it's from a film, came out in 1930 called Spring is Here. I didn't know that. And there's also a film called Crying for the Carolines. I will investigate that one further. There's probably a bigger picture to explore, but don't you like that carbon mic sound?
Oh, it's terrific, yeah.
Yes, that punchy distortion.
It puts you back in the era, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It's a veritable TARDIS. So anyhow, we'll dig up a few like that. There's quite a few here, and I'll find a few, and we'll look at music from that time and from other times. If you want to think of certain sort of signature sounds from a particular era, that'd be good. Something that really captures the flavour of a particular time.
Yeah.
That'd be good. For me, whenever I hear Moscow, I always think of the 1980 Olympics.
Oh, I love that.
And Eurovision.
Moscow.
Yes. But that was a poignant time because my family are really into sport except for me. And at that time, everyone was really sort of Olympic mad. I mean, we had this big black and white TV in 1980, a big 21-inch pie, black and white TV. No colour TVs, my family at that time. And that was on all day and all night. And I remember every time after an ad break, the Moscow song would come on. So for me, that was harmonised with that time.
Oh, yeah, I love that song. it's an earworm song.
It certainly is an earworm, Genghis Khan. But but now I probably associate it more with Eurovision now. But it was good fun.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, because they now I've seen there's a real sort of glam Eurovision aspect to that.
Totally.
Yeah, but anyhow, no, it's good to capture the mood, the flavour of a particular era through song and through music. So look, send me a playlist. Any sort of perspectives we can flesh out.
Will do.
Yeah, sounds very good. So what's on the other side of that record? I'll have a look. I do like that sound on these old vocalians. Crying for it's the Clico Club. This is a tongue twister. Clico Club Eskimos.
It is.
Yay. Oh, side B is a Dorsey Brothers Orchestra record.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, this is, again, from the same film, Spring is Here. So this dates it definitively to 1930.
When did they split, do you know?
Oh, I think it was in about 1932, 33.
Had a big row, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They had a massive fallout, two brothers. But, it's funny that I think it was just a sibling thing, and because they made the film about the Dorsey brothers later on, they made that movie, The Fabulous Dorseys, and they both thoroughly reconciled for making that film. They probably saw the money at the end of it.
Oh yeah.
And they were able to, and they sort of parodied their falling out in that film as well. And so that's
That's very interesting. I didn't know.
Yeah, I think the early 30s because they did definitely go their own way. By the mid 30s, they were sort of running different swing outfits. But this one is the Dorsey Brothers Orchestra. It goes back to 1930, and it's a track called "Have a Little Faith in Me." So I have no idea what this is like. It's probably not that upbeat, but we'll have a listen nevertheless.
There's a silver lining, I see it shining, and that just means success and happiness for a while come true, dear, with the help of you, dear, have a little faith in me.
I'd love to find out who did that muted trumpet solo at the end underneath Tommy Dorsey's trombone. Did you hear that? It was beautiful.
It was.
Yeah.
An unusual tone for a muted trumpet.
Yes. I think it's all sort of tonally compromised.
Well, that doesn't matter, but it depends on the particular mute you're using, I suppose.
Yes. It was certainly like a full cover mute because it had a very sort of dry sound.
Closed in, yeah.
But beautiful solo. That was great. I have to investigate. I'll need to find out who was on that. They certainly had a star-studded group. They had many great musicians go through their ranks over the...
Totally, absolutely.
Over a period.
Well, they were the band to be with, you know.
Yeah. They were one of the best in their time. And I always enjoy hearing Tommy Dorsey's very smooth trombone solos.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. He was the best jazz trombonist, I think, of the time.
Yeah, he was amazing. And, I've got some news. There's been a whole lot of recordings of Jimmy Noon come up online. Now, this guy is someone to be reckoned with. This is such an interesting... Look, we can devote a whole missions to this.
Oh, yeah?
But Jimmy Noon was a clarinet player in the 20s and 30s. I think he died in the early 1940s. And he died sort of tragically because he was black and he wasn't able to get the support he needed at a crucial time. It's a sort of sad story. I won't go there, but he...
common.
Oh, it's ever so common. It's a little bit like Bessie Smith's tale. But anyhow, Jimmy Noonan made a lot of recordings at the Apex Club in New York in the 1920s. and he was reputed to be the best or the most virtuosic clarinet player of his generation. And
Okay.
so much so that Ravel, when he came to America, heard Jimmy Noon play and was so impressed that he publicly said that this no classical player could play like this.
Oh, wow.
And made it was rare for Ravel to make a public statement and about especially a black musician. And
He was very much to himself, wasn't he?
yes, he was very much so. But he said that Jimmy Noon's playing was just something of extreme interest and inventiveness and virtuosity. Self-taught musician.
That's the highest praise you could have.
Yeah. Now, these recordings don't sort of reveal so much of that. They certainly reveal his lyricism in his playing. And they are really, I've been sampling a few, and my God, it's a really interesting subject. So
yeah.
I want to hear more of his stuff. So look, we'll play one, and we might follow on with some more tonight. Some great songs. Here's one called, wait for it, Let's Sow a Wild Oat. Jimmy Noon and his orchestra from 1929.
Let's sow a wild oat. Let's sow a wild oat. When it comes to starting, it always lasts. But when I get started, I work fast. Let's sow a wild oat. Let's sow a wild oat. We'll go strolling far away and find some place where we can play and have our fun and let it lay. Let's sow a wild oat. Let's sow a wild oat. Let's sow a wild oat. Brother, this and sister, that is very fine. But when it comes to love, I want to keep in mind. Let's sow a wild oat. Let's sow a wild oat. We'll step out, just you and me. We'll find some place where we can see the night boat leave for Tennessee. Let's sow a wild oat.
J'arrive di dimma, stu grigi da logi bau. I do grandma bidige zu den be, rigat zu den di batten do. Na rigib bat zu di do, rigat zu de la rigiba. It the rugam pat zu di na du rigib. Balu rigat di ne du di, ribat zu gargala tegeri.
Let's sow a wild oat.
How about that?
Oh, well.
What a track, hey?
That tells it like it is, doesn't it?
It certainly does. What lyrics?
I know.
How did that get through the censor? I have no idea. And the scatting in French.
I have never heard
French scat.
scatting in French before.
And that was Mr. Noon himself scatting.
That was
apparently.
terrific.
Yeah.
And that's about the earliest scat record I've heard, I think.
Wow, yeah. It's pretty out there. It's a great record.
Oh,
and they
terrific.
really have there's such a fabulous synergy between those musicians. And there's a real, some beautiful camaraderie. I love it. Great music.
Is the way trad should be played, I reckon.
I think so. They just nestle, they nurture each other, and it's just this beautiful interplay. It's fabulous.
A lot of trad, I find, is over-cluttered.
You're absolutely right. You're spot on. That's my biggest problem, especially trad revival.
Yeah, they overdo it, don't they?
They do. It's too dense, and it sort of congeals, I think.
It does. It becomes a bit of a morass.
It can be like that, and it takes really good musicians who listen out for each other and allow the music to breathe.
That was perfect.
It was. They just had a beautiful synergy. It's marvellous stuff, and there's a whole lot of them. Mr. Atticus Jazz has been putting them up online. They're very rare recordings, and I only knew of him. I didn't know much about his heritage, but I've been reading about Mr. Noon, and you know what? Ravel wrote Bolero, inspired by an improvisation he heard of Jimmy Noon's.
Seriously?
Yeah, one of his lyrical, and this is in print, one of his lyrical improvisations, sorry, whack the microphone there, getting too gestural here.
Yeah.
And he heard...
come over so well, would you?
He's flaying my arms around everywhere. So, he heard one of Jimmy Noon's improvisations and used that as the basis for Bolero.
Oh,
apparently.
wow.
So there we go.
It's not really a very complex thing, Bolero, is it?
I think it's just a melodic shape.
I mean, the orchestration is interesting, but the thing itself is only pretty simple, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is. It's what sort of builds, of course, and that's the
it's got a lot of build to it and a sense of climax and all that.
Yeah.
But the actual melody is a simple melody.
Yes, I think you're right. Absolutely, the melody is simple. Very hard for the drummer.
It'd be terrible. You imagine your wrist arms dropping off.
I know, exactly. And you just wouldn't want to become just mildly arrhythmic at one point, would you? You wouldn't want to have just that seniors moment where suddenly you just want to look at, where you feel that itch. Know that feeling sometimes when you're doing something you feel itchy and you know you can't scratch. It's unrelenting. It's hard for the snare player, Bolero, and and also it must be hard for instrumentals having to count all of those rests and knowing exactly when to come in when your part comes in, where it starts to build up.
Yeah.
That always scares me, counting hips. I'm hopeless at counting rests.
Yes, you wouldn't want. That's right.
I lose count. I get distracted. I look at something and I think, where am I in the music?
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's so easy to do. It's scary.
Yeah.
Scary freewheeling and suddenly thinking, I've lost count of the rest. So I know I've got to come in somewhere around 20 bars time.
A story told of, I know I've already told it, about Toscanini and... he was very bad-tempered.
Oh, yes, he was.
Individual, and he hated people not looking at the score even if they didn't have anything to play for half an hour.
Yeah.
He wanted people to follow, and he picked on a drummer who was just sitting back, paying no attention. And he said, and it was a full orchestra, and he brought the orchestra to a stop and did a rehearsal. And he said, Mr. on the drum, can you show me where we're up to in the score? As quick as a flash, the drummer said, I'm sorry, Maestro, I'm lost too.
Fantastic. That's a great story. I hope it got a smile from Mr. Toscanini because he was renowned for firing people on the spot. He was a rather inflexible human being.
Yeah.
And he absolute tyrant. People were terrified of him. And he's one of those orchestral, those demon conductors.
He's horrible, wasn't it?
He was really, he was quite evil. He was terrible. And he used to just stand people up and fire them on, and publicly humiliate them and fire them on the spot. And have tantrums. In fact, there's a number of recordings of Toscanini tantrums, and he'd go berserk, like he'd just hit the roof, and he'd scream and he'd rant and he'd rant and he'd rant and he'd go on and on. He's just highly underdeveloped, and he just didn't have that emotional constitution to
do it. He should never have done it.
Yeah, look, well, it makes me lose a lot of respect for him, actually, when you hear these sort of things. But look, he was a great conductor.
Oh, yeah, he got a lot of... He used to tend to play things faster than
other took people. Things at a breakneck speed and with whip-crack precision. He was a chiseler. He chiseled everything just like digital perfection.
Yeah.
And it recorded in a dry acoustic, and he wanted everything to have that brittle edge to it. And so Toscanini recordings are renowned. In fact, he increased the orchestral standard up very notably.
Yeah.
And from that period onwards.
Had a pretty long life, I think.
He did. He lived well into his 90s. He was conducting well into his 90s.
Yeah.
And but look, he's an interesting character, but a formidable and rather terrifying person as well. And I certainly wouldn't want to be in an orchestra with someone like that carrying on in their antics, because I think he was, he yielded just far too much power, really.
Yeah.
And it's always a sad thing.
Terrible for the players.
Oh, shocking. They were terrified of him because they could lose their job any moment. And because he was such a famous person, he could just sort of sack them on the spot and basically make them unemployable. And he used to do it. It was his a nasty thing. Well, look, we'll save up some more Mr. Noonan for later on.
Oh yeah, look, that was terrific. I really liked that.
Yeah, I'll kickstart the program tonight with some more Jimmy Noon, not Noonan, Noon, and then we'll do our usual thing and bring the Zoom call in around midnight, and we'll see where it leads us. That'll be good. And if you've got a few ideas, that'd be fantastic.
Send you a bit of a playlist.
Yeah, please do. And so what I'll do now is I'll refer to our Thunderbirds list, and we will need to do that because I've got to go inside. And I'm
got to order the fried rice tonight.
Ah, very good. That'll be nice.
Oh yeah.
And here we go. I can see this very attractive school teacher telling us the kids. I'm just looking at it on the screen now. Mrs. Sherbatroff. I'm going to school today is the name of the file. So if anyone wants to have a look.
Oh, good.
And all the kids do all these great things like walk around on the beach without helmets on and crawl through caves and all the stuff that kids should do. Stuff that I'm very happy to let my kids do. Now, well, I'm trying to find this episode of the Thunderbirds. Here it is. It's the Atlantic Inferno. Do you remember that one? It's the one with the oil rig goes up.
Oh yes. It's a beauty.
It's a beauty. It's an excellent one. So, it's high drama. So we'll defer to that now, and look forward to your company later on tonight.
Likewise.
Yay! And what we'll do is what I'm thinking I might do tonight is that I'll start off on VHF for the first half an hour or so, and then if UHF's clear, I'll make a change. And I might do this for the next few weeks. See if when I dial up Zoom, I'll also switch over to UHF at that point. And I'll give a few announcements just so if people are listening on VHF, they'll know where to go.
It's a good way to migrate
I think it's
listenership.
Sure, I think that's ultimately the better way forward. So we'll do that, but we'll do it in a staged way perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyhow, look, I'll have to turn the stream off at this point. So if you're listening on the stream, anyone there on the stream? I got one viewer. Oh, welcome. Hello to that one viewer. And just a reminder that we won't be streaming in about 1 minute because we'll be playing a Thunderbirds. So if you want to go to the other streaming service, I think you can work out where it is. If not, just look up my call sign and QIZ.com.